Oh, interesting. Oh, wait, here. Okay. So I'll read a few pages from here, and then we can pause, and if anything comes up, and then we'll do breath work and meditation. And of course, if anybody needs me to pause while I'm reading, just flag down or just be
okay.
like,
Flag away.
yeah. Metamorphosis from gross to subtle, the two forces of mind and prana maintain the rhythm of life and consciousness. This is one stage of evolution, but mankind has yet to evolve further. If civilization is not constructed along evolutionary lines, then man has to face disaster, death, and absolute extinction. You cannot deny evolution. Everything in the universe is evolving, even the rocks. If there is metamorphosis in every part of creation, why shouldn't man's consciousness also undergo this state of metamorphosis? Transformation is a scientific fact. It is not a philosophy, faith, or creed. It is the path of evolution, and it gives meaning to life. This process, this physical body constantly undergoes various processes of transformation, which affect each and every molecule of its material substance. Now, people have begun to realize that matter in its ultimate form is energy. Therefore, we will have to reanalyze and redefine what the body is and how far this transformation can be affected. Can the body be turned into light particles? Think about it in terms of science, not in terms of faith or beliefs that you have had or not had up until now. If this body can undergo a state of metamorphosis, then what is the way? The answer is yoga. Through the process of yoga, the body is rendered so subtle and pure that it is transformed into a yogic body, which is unaffected by old age and disease. Hatha yoga is practiced in order to initiate a process in this physical body, whereby the pranic currents and mental forces which interact with each other in the scheme of life and existence may be transformed. Unless the physical molecules are transformed, it is no use discussing compassion or unity. A great challenge is open to us. If matter in its ultimate form is energy, then this physical body can be transformed into solid energy through the systematic practice of the 6 cleansing techniques of Hatha yoga. After this, asana and pranayama should be practiced. Union of the mind and body is yoga. An important point which has been omitted by the commentators is that Hatha yoga is not only the union of prana and mind. In fact, it means the union of prana and mind with the self. Now let us clarify this. In the spine, there are 3 major nadis known as Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna. Nadi here does not mean serve. Oh my goodness. Nadi here does not mean nerve. It is not a physical channel. Nadi means flow. Like the flow of electricity within a cable. One wire carries the negative force and another carries the positive force of electricity. So in Hatha yoga, Ida Nandi represents the negative force, the flow of consciousness. Pingala represents the positive force, the flow of vital energy. And Sushumna Nadi represents the neutral force, the flow of spiritual energy. The union, the connection between these 3 flows occurs in the Ajna chakra at the eyebrow center. Therefore, let us revise the literal meaning of Hatha yoga. Commentators have stated that union between Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna yoga is Hatha yoga. When this union takes place, there is an instant awakening in Muladhara chakra at the base of the spine. This is the seat of the primal energy, or Kundalini Shakti. The awakening of Kundalini is the subject matter of Hatha Yoga. Through the practices of Hatha Yoga, union is brought about. As a result of that union, the awakening of Kundalini takes place. When awakening occurs, the Kundalini ascends to higher realms of consciousness, and finally, it is established in Sahasrara chakra at the crown of the head. When Kundalini is established in Sahasrara chakra, that is called yoga, not Hatha Yoga. This is the difference between yoga and Hatha Yoga. Yoga means union of Shiva, consciousness, and Shakti, energy. Shakti is Kundalini energy. Shiva is the supreme consciousness seated in Sahasrara chakra. When awakening takes place in Muladhara at the base of the spine, then Kundalini starts ascending. She ascends through Sushumna, not through Ida and Pingala. Sushumna is the way for Kundalini. It passes through various chakras, sometimes all of a sudden and sometimes very slowly. When it unites with Ida and Pingala in Ajna chakra, this is called Hatha Yoga. Then after this first union, it forges ahead to Sahasrara chakra. There it unites with the supreme consciousness, Shiva. That is called yoga, which means ultimate union. Therefore, the ultimate object of Hatha Yoga is to experience yoga. I just need to pause there because that was so interesting and amazing to me. How's everyone feeling?
It's like I need a vocabulary guide along the side or something. It's a lot.
So
it was a lot for me to absorb. It's like a new language to me because
yes.
Well, let's just remember, I tell this to people at work, new things aren't hard things, they're just new.
Yeah.
So we just have to know that these are new words, and the more and more we come across them, and Amanda speaks to these, and if you take a yoga teacher training, it can allow you to deepen into these words, into these studies. I'm not going to attempt to teach these, but I feel like just the real short of it is they're saying this book is saying that Hatha Yoga is this center, like where energy meets in our third eye. And Hatha Yoga is this movement, this prana and physical practice of yoga. Whereas we know yoga is a lot more than just the poses. We know that by now, right? Like yoga is breath and meditation and concentration and the yamas and the niyamas. And then, so here I feel like they're saying that this is where the hatha, that movement, the breath and the movement live here. But then all of yoga lives up here. And then we know, and that's why I love reading these texts before we meditate, because look, if you look at the way I'm sitting, I'm very slouched because I'm reading over the computer and it's on the ground. So if I was to try to sit and meditate like this and breathe, my breath would be so restricted because I'm not creating this like nice long, like think about a tube, like trying to funnel something through a tube that has like coils. If you straighten it out, and I think that's how I look at the Ida, the Pingala, and the Shushama, Shushamana. And then Shushamana is like the middle one, and that needs to be the clear one, because that's where the energy needs to run up and down. And then the Ida and Pingala one starts on the left and one starts on the right, and they sort of like wind through. And energy travels through that too, but it's a matter of trying to take control over which channel you want to run your energy through. by what you feed yourself and how you meditate and how you do your breath work and how you choose to spend your day. I was taking a DVD exercise downstairs the other day, and I was surprised at how strong my body felt. I hadn't done anything in 2 weeks, and I was expecting myself to be not able to get through the DVD, and I was watching myself do the DVD, and you don't use any weights or anything. It's all body. And we learn this in yoga, like just watching how we can control the different muscles in our body. It's so interesting to me.
Pam, can you give me a screen share?
Oh yeah, can I do that?
Yeah, stop your screen share and I'll share my screen so
Okay.
the diagram.
Yeah, okay.
Can you guys see?
Oh yeah.
So Pam was explaining is there are these, if you think about the true self, the Atman, the consciousness as a generator of energy, like if you look at somebody who's dying on the table, all of a sudden something goes away, right? They still have a heart, they still have all the parts, but for some reason they're not working, they're not animated. The person is suddenly dead, the consciousness has left. So they see that the way that the generator generates energy, it carves out energetic rivers in the body. And that's what the nervous system builds from, those energetic rivers. So she's talking about there are 72,000 of these in the body. Like in Ayurveda, when they would do surgery, they would literally work around your nervous system so you would never have nerve damage. It was so intense, like of their knowledge of these rivers. TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, is derived from this knowledge, where they use acupuncture to manipulate the rivers. So there are major rivers that the yogis talk about. Ida, which is the more like soothing, calming, regenerative river of energy, and Pingala, which is the more activated solar, like heating, like the one you need to be really open in order to run a marathon. And often we're just fluctuating between, like we go from the lunar side to the solar side, to the lunar side to the solar side. And what the yogis are talking about, this transformation, is balancing the two so they flow equally. And then all of a sudden we have all this energy, like Pam was explaining, at the base of the spine. If you've heard the word Kundalini, it means coiled snake. So this coiled snake of energy at the base of the spine. And as you unlock the two channels and make them flow evenly, this energy starts to rise up. And as it rises up, it purifies and balances each chakra. And a chakra is just a bundle of these nadis, of these rivers that are like nerve bundles, and they create these energetic centers where your endocrine system forms. So around every gland, there's lots and lots of nerves that give it energy. Each one can get imbalanced from stress, from life, from the environment. So if we slowly build that Kundalini and wake up the Sushumna, which is the central channel where all the chakras live, then it just balances and purifies. And it's a slow movement, a slow motion. It slowly goes up to the space between the eyebrows, which is the third eye, or like in Western terms would be considered your pineal gland, which is like the one that kind of controls the rest of your glands, of your endocrine system, of your hormonal system. So if we get that one healthy, it purifies the rest of the body and just makes you very, very healthy and very well. Almost like suddenly when the energy can flow, you become more powerful.
This chart is amazing, Amanda.
I just Googled it.
That was such a good idea.
It's just
Yeah,
because,
it is interesting
yeah,
because
right?
when you were talking the chakras, people talk about the chakras often, and I've done chakra meditations, with teachers and that kind of thing. But I didn't think about those pathways, I just thought about the one central pathway. I never thought about the Pingala and the Ida. Never, and then, but it looks like the central pathway on this chart is called the Shushumna Nadi.
Mm-hmm.
So is that when you are in balance, it's sort of like you discover the I-95 instead of the country road? Is that?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I mean, I'd rather have the country road, but you know what I mean,
I love that analogy. Yeah, and we get so imbalanced, but we have the birthright of balance. We have the birthright to be so powerful, but we kind of like allow ourselves to become so weakened by the environment and stress and karma and all this stuff.
And I'll just say, for the sake of studying and reading, I used to be a lot more type A, and I get very thrown off balance if I learned something and then the next day. Anyway, if you notice here, the spellings of the top two chakras are different than how the Hatha yoga is, and you're gonna find as you begin to read or study more of this that there are 5,000 ways to spell these chakras, and some are like legit and some might just be like spelling error. So just taking just coming up with your own chakra for study practice and how you're comfortable spelling it, but understanding what the chakra is, so that like when I hear this chakra, I usually just call this like crown chakra, and I know that Ajna chakra is the crown center, however anybody wants to spell it. So, and that's the way with all the chakras. So just so you know, as you study this stuff.
Okay.
Well, the Ajna is third eye, love.
Third eye, not crown center. I'm sorry, you're right. Third eye.
Right, crown is 7.
Sahasrara. Yeah, it's like she's saying, it's like if you're in the north of India or the south of India, you're gonna pronounce it differently.
Yeah.
And then also it's like not the same alphabet as the Sanskrit alphabet. Like it's always gonna be spelled the same in Sanskrit, but in English, the translation is like just sound it out.
But the functions, the view of the functions of these 7 chakras it's the same across languages?
Yeah, actually, it's weird. In different religions, they even have similar chakras. Like my friend was studying Kabbalah, and she was like, there's like a whole chakra system in Kabbalah. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yep.
I've never seen the solar plexus one be called that. I mean, not that I'm a chakra study person.
Oh, Nabi?
Nabi chakra.
Yeah, Nabi is like a physical manifestation of the chakra. I've heard like people call it Nabi when it gets so dense there from stress that it takes like a very long time to release the Nabi.
Oh, goodness.
Our stress rate in our stomach.
I've never heard of Ocean of Illusion. I think that's interesting.
Yeah, me neither.
But this idea in Tantra, like I was telling Mark yesterday that was something I didn't know, that Hatha was actually just Tantra yoga with a bunch of stuff omitted. I thought that was really fascinating. And Tantra, the whole principle of Tantra yoga is to awaken your Kundalini and get it to rise up. And as you're meditating, you can experience and sometimes they'll call it like sexual energy, but it's really just like prana. And the prana, when you're meditating for a long time, you'll start to experience things like heat rising through your spine. And it's good that they explain what is happening, because then you don't get all freaked out. But yeah, so you get this like tingling heat rising up your spine, and like all of a sudden your whole body will get really hot. You'll have all kinds of physical manifestations, and what they're talking about, like these transformations are real. It's wild. If you work on the energy, the physical matter changes. I was watching a video of a caterpillar transforming into a butterfly, and they just kind of like form into this amorphous goo, and suddenly like everything rearranges and they come out a butterfly. And when I was pregnant, I was having a similar experience. I don't know if anyone else has had that experience while they're pregnant. It's like all your organs move somewhere else. There's another human being inside of your body. Your whole body expands. Your bones change. It's like you feel like you're going through a vortex of like into another dimension. It's wild. And then all of a sudden it just goes back to the way it was after the kid comes out. And it's like, I think that we have this illusion that our bodies are so permanent, but they're always changing according to the intelligence behind what is arranging the matter of them. And like you do these practices and it's going to rearrange your matter. You stress all day, it's going to rearrange your matter. It's cool stuff.
It is cool stuff. And I always feel bad for women that become pregnant, in the sense that it's such an unspoken about area. Like these friends, like one friend will say this, one friend will say that, like their experience of being pregnant. And I'm like, how come nobody is talking about this? Not
Saying when I got pregnant, I'm like, why didn't anyone tell me this is what happens? And my mom's like, well, I don't want to make you not want to get pregnant.
But I think if you're more prepared for it, not to say that you wouldn't have it or that you would be able to control things, but at least you would know what's to come, just like you were explaining. Like,
yeah,
if you explain what's happening down at the bottom by Kundalini to people, then they won't get so nervous. I don't know, like it's crazy when I hear these. And I think more so now, like with my generation, or like with, I can only speak for my generation. Like I heard more people like I didn't hear my mom and my aunts and my grandma talking about their experience. They certainly didn't share it with me, but now more people are open to talking. So hopefully that trickles down to the younger generations.
yeah.
I think it goes in waves, because in the women's movement in the 70s, women, I was the oldest of 8, and in the 70s, women talked a lot about bodily changes, you know, when you got pregnant. And it's sort of like thesis, antithesis, and then what happens at the end after you give birth. You don't spring back to what you were when you were 23 and wearing bikinis. Everything changes, and you have this somewhat different body. And women talked about it in the 70s, and then I don't know what happened after that, but.
Yeah.
So I think that openness in the conversation goes in waves. And you know what, Amanda, I think there is something to it where my mother sure as hell didn't tell me what was going to go on. And in part, it was because she was afraid I'd never get pregnant. And I almost never did, you know.
Yeah, it was like right at the end, she's like, okay, here's what's going to happen when you're like about to give birth. I'm like, seriously?
Yeah, really,
Just told me.
Thank you so much.
I think it's just, the other thing is very interesting what you just said about if you stress all day, then you change your mara. And we all know, just know basic knowledge that, stress is not good for you. But it just, when you have this knowledge, what you were just saying, it's so hard to, it's a hard work. Then you really have to be conscious of it the whole time, to say, to try not to stress, because it's really, it almost gives you a better insight of how bad is is stress for your body. And it's hard when you are all day at work, even on a good day, I'm not even just talking, it's hard not to stress at work.
Yeah.
I think the idea is not to not allow you to stress, but to shorten the stress time. So allow yourself to stress, but give yourself 2 minutes or 5 minutes to stress about it. And then using the tools we learn, you know, if it's taking a walk around the block or writing it down or having a conversation. Like sometimes I stress out about things because I'm holding my tongue, then I need to say something. So saying, you know, writing down what you need to say in a professional way at work, because sometimes we can't talk at work the way we would talk to our best friend. So even though we really want to. So
Do
I
you
don't
guys find that like,
What?
do you guys find that like when you're doing yoga and doing meditation and doing the breath work and doing all the things prescribed and eating the right way, that like you feel more resistant or more resilient when it comes to the workplace?
100%. I mean, it's not even, for me, it's not even a debate.
I mean, I'm just like new to meditation, really, and everything, all of this. So I'm looking forward to learn all these tools too. Because I think, how can it not benefit? It should.
That's why, like, when in my opinion, like, if somebody can't sit straight with their board and wrong with things going on or whatever, like, it's almost, in my opinion, better for them just to lay as flat as they can to try to get more space here so that they can practice feeling that feeling. Because if I come to sit to meditation and I bring every baggage with me every time, and I just sit here like this, like hunched over, like I can't heal that way. I have to try to release it, try to move on from it, acknowledge it, definitely acknowledge it, and try to like sit up a little taller. And when we do the alternate nostril breathing, really being present in that practice and not like thinking about other things, but trying to really try to balance, like watch the breath. And like we spoke about the other day, like listening to the breath, listening to the body, noticing maybe which side might feel more blocked than the other. And this comes with time. It's just about bringing your mind present so you can notice what's going on. You may be like, I have no idea what's going on, but the fact that you have no idea means you're paying attention.
Pam, I was gonna say, having the practice is, to me, there's all these tools, right, that are amazing that help shift, but the awareness, like before I started practicing, there was no awareness. I walked around with my shoulders in my ears. I had pain I didn't even realize it. It was like, oh, this is, how it is. I got pain here, just keep plowing through. And now there's that awareness that, oh, I feel this coming up, or I feel this coming up, or I feel anger coming up, or I feel like being able to acknowledge and kind of, and try to understand what's happening. And maybe sometimes there is no understanding what's happening, but realizing that there's this stuff coming up and being able to just stop and pull back. And like you said, go for a walk or sit down and like take 10 deep breaths. And then there's that shift. But without the awareness, like to me, I can have, a whole bag of tools without the awareness of being present and see what's coming up. Then the tools just sit there on the shelf looking pretty.
Yeah.
Oh, Amanda, yesterday when we were doing Shining Skull, I know it builds up heat, but I don't know where the heat that yesterday was. I was sweating. I had to get up and go get water. I chugged down 2 cups of water.
Maybe too much pitta for that kind of breathing for now.
It was.
Maybe she needed it. Get rid of whatever was going on.
Yeah, maybe I did. I don't know. And then I was fine all day. But in that moment, it was like.
I'm going to move us into breath and meditation.
Okay.
We'll do a few rounds of alternate nostril. setting up.
I'm going to just have to leave you guys.
Okay.
But this was wonderful.
Thank you, Tiana, for joining.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
And thank you, Amanda, for doing that explanation. That was a nice.
No problem. Thank you for reading, Pam.
Bringing your right palm to your nostril, closing your right nostril with your right thumb, inhaling through your left. Close left, exhale right. Inhale right. Close right, exhale left. Inhale left, feel the breath moving in through the nostril down to the base of the spine. Then close left and then exhale right, watching the breath move back up the spine out through the right nostril. Inhale right, watching the breath move in the right, down to the base of the spine. Exhale, watch it move up and out the left nostril. Continue like this a few times on your own breath for 3 more rounds. Taking your time to finish exhaling out through the left nostril. Setting up your meditation, whatever shape this looks like today. If you want to set your intention for the practice, if you want to dedicate your meditation to something today or someone. Bringing hands to class. Namaste.
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 Have a beautiful day.
You too, ladies.